In Manchester United's Champions League match against Copenhagen, a protester ran on the pitch. The message read, "Stop killing the children of Gaza. Let's stand together." A simple message, but one many in power do not wish to act upon. It follows a theme in recent weeks where fans of Liverpool held up a sign that read simply, "For God's sake, save Gaza." And yet, surprisingly or not, plenty of players are receiving backlash. Karim Benzema used his Twitter to say, "All our prayers for the inhabitants of Gaza." French Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin hated it. French Senator Valérie Boyer went as far to say Benzema should be stripped of his French citizenship and the coveted Ballon d'Or. The fact is, the man who ran on the pitch is right. And as we have seen over and over again, repeating history, where American media outlets will manufacture consent similarly to when they got approval from the American public to go and invade Iraq on the lie of WMDs, it's happening once more. And here's the thing. No matter the political affiliation, Democrats want a ceasefire, majority of independents want a ceasefire, even a majority of Republicans think a ceasefire is the right play.
We are talking about 4,000 children who are dead. And if I may be very clear, those are the most unpleasant deaths that these children could have died. They're being crushed in their homes. They're losing their limbs. They're undergoing surgery without anesthetics. What we are witnessing is horrifying, no matter the definition, and it should shock the conscience of all of us.
This is Jennifer Tierney, who has done humanitarian work with UNICEF, ALMA, and Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders is independent, they are neutral, and impartial to emergency aid. It demands full and unimpeded freedom to carry out its work in accordance with medical ethics and the rights of human beings to humanitarian aid. Remember that nurse that Anderson Cooper interviewed?
Would you go back to Gaza?
In a heartbeat. In an absolute heartbeat. My heart is in Gaza. It will stay in Gaza. The Palestinian people that I worked with, both our national staff in the office as well as my staff at Indonesia Hospital, were some of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life.
She's also a member of Doctors Without Borders.
I was texting them when we got the evacuation orders, and I said, did any of you move south? Did any of you get out? Like, are any of you coming down this way? And the only answer I got was, this is our community. This is our family. These are our friends. If they're going to kill us, we're going to die saving as many people as we can. And I said, if I can ever have an ounce of the heart that you have, I will die a happy person. They were incredible. I would like to send out a reminder that there are civilians seeking shelter there, and that my doctors and nurses didn't leave out of loyalty to their community. And I know that there is an idea being pushed right now that anyone that stayed behind is going to be considered some kind of a threat. And I want to remind people that the people that stayed behind are heroes. The people that stayed behind are they know they're going to die, and they're choosing to stay behind anyway.
When there were talks of a humanitarian pause, there were some who completely saw through how it is indeed an inhumane act, as activist Bree Newsom Bass puts eloquently to her followers on Twitter. Incredibly, even French President Emmanuel Macron, who has shown his fascist tendencies when deploying the police on peaceful protesters, released a statement that was carefully worded. However, it did include the term ceasefire.
What are the talks of the Gaza ceasefire? No possibility.
Even if one were to stick with the United States, the influence here is troubling. Per Amnesty International, police departments in Baltimore, Pennsylvania, California, New Jersey, Arizona, Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Georgia, and D.C. have all received training with the Israeli Defense Force. And these are taxpayer-funded trips. Please keep that in mind as well. Amnesty International, other human rights organizations, and even the U.S. Department of State have cited Israeli police for carrying out extrajudicial executions and other unlawful killings using ill treatment and torture, suppression of freedom of expression / association, including through government surveillance and excessive use of force against peaceful protesters. They are even influencing this.
In Atlanta, Georgia, where residents shattered the record for turnout at a city council meeting Monday, as thousands lined up to voice their opposition to the construction of a massive police training facility known as Cop City.
For some, Stop Cop City becomes this sort of rallying cry. Protesters argue that destroying parts of the force would hurt the community. They also fear the facility will help further militarize the police.
Why do you think it's in your neck of the woods?
Environmental racism, racialized capitalism, and the fact that those people who live there cannot vote against it.
Nonetheless, more from Dr. Tierney.
You know, we are doctors in our nature, and what you are asking us to do with a humanitarian pause is to bring in the equipment necessary to stitch people up and repair them, and then to start the bombing again, and for us to then fix them. That is not enough. We need a ceasefire. I mean, what we are seeing right now is dozens and dozens of medical facilities in Gaza, which are absolutely razed to the ground. There is no capacity in Gaza at this point to care for the wounded who are there already. There are 3,500 beds in Gaza. Most of them are not available to patients at this point, and there are 10,000 plus wounded. Our surgeons are literally doing surgery on people on the ground, outside, in tents, in open air. There is no capacity at this point for a pause. We have to stop and allow the system to be able to rebuild, to be able to provide care.
You're hearing from medical professionals. We are seeing and hearing what is on the ground from those who are in these places, because American media outlets don't go in, or they go in behind the cover of those that are occupying at the moment, at that time, throughout time. And in the States, the media arm is doing its best to doubt what we know to be pure. Believe what your eyes are telling you from those who are risking their lives to tell these stories. But somehow, some way, the real issue is the moments of disturbance from a pitch invader. Let that sink in.